सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। The prayer verses, Pañcadaśī. Nattva Shri Bharati Tirtha Vidyaranya Munishwaro Adhimahe Pañcadaśīm Kaivalyapadasiddhaye Namah Shri Shankarananda Gurupadambujanmane Savilasa-maha-moha graha-grasaika-karmane. Why did it come here? So we were seeing consciousness is the same in all states of experience. Vidyaranya, through logic, is establishing that objects of knowledge change in the three states of experience, but consciousness, samvit, it is changeless truth. We saw in the waking state how knowledge of objects takes place, and that consciousness is required to say something exists, to reveal the existence of an object in the external world. Consciousness has to light up the thought of the object in my mind. Without consciousness lighting up the thought, I cannot say tree is. I cannot say chili is. I cannot say computer is. It is the consciousness, light of consciousness, illumining the thought which is inert. All thoughts are inert, and without consciousness illumination, the thought itself cannot be registered. So knowledge cannot take place without consciousness lighting up my thoughts. And what else we discovered in the waking state experience? the objects that we experience are many and varied. So the whole Jagat is pluralistic. It is plural, multiplicity and variety, because no object is same. In that way, everything is unique. On the Nama Rupa level, the name, form, function level, everything is unique in this Jagat. But variety and plurality, which constitute my experience of the Jagat, don't make the Jagat real. So variety and plurality don't constitute reality. Reality is not judged by experience. Reality is the one truth that lights up the very experience. Because the experience cannot take place, as we know, without consciousness lighting up the thoughts. Once the thought is illumined, I act upon the thought, and that is how this interactive reality comes into the picture. Vyavaharika Satyam is called transactional, interactive reality. So there's as though many things here, but in fact there is only one truth. He established that, and then we saw in the dream state it is very similar, the experience that we have. But he says the objects of the dream state are not produced by Ishvara in that sense. They are my own vasanas, or storage of the objects of the waking state. They are brought up in some order or other in the dream state. So dream state objects are also what? They're also many and varied. So there's not any difference between dream state and waking state in that sense. But dream state objects, he told us, are astiram. They are very fleeting. They come, we can see them come and go very quickly. And on waking up, the dream is falsified. We see the dream reality, the reality we gave to the dream, the projected dream, even the ahankara, the I in the dream, is a projection. I am witnessing the dream. Because when you wake up, you can recount to somebody, when they said, what did you, oh, I had a wonderful dream last night. You're able to talk about your dream. If you are the dream, if you are in the dream, can you talk about the dream? You cannot talk about something unless you witness it. Always remember that. You cannot talk about anything unless you are separate from it. So this is the important thing to understand. Consciousness is non-separate from everything. It lights up the dream state. In the waking state, the objects are not created by vasanas, not Ishvara's vasanas, neither my vasanas. Ishvara Shrishti creates the waking state. So Ishvara Shrishti means objects, everything is already available. Ishvara has produced this whole Jagat, amazing creation. For what? For the expenditure of the karmic account of the jivas. You know, the way that creation also takes place, very interesting. You know, why this world got created. So in the Veda there is explanation for that, saying all the jivas, you know, when we go into unmanifest condition, then as we saw yesterday, the karana shariram, causal body, is still there. So we're not jnanis, we're not fully resolved. And in the karana shariram is the storage of sanchita karma. So all the accumulated karmas of many janmas, millions and billions of janmas, God knows how many we have gone through. All that accumulated karmic account is in storage in the causal body. And it is said creation happens through the disequilibrium of the gunas. So they get disturbed because of the clamoring of the jivas, karmas to be manifest. The jivas are desperate to work out their desires. The karana shariram. So what does Bhagavan do? Science, I don't know now, they have more and more theories. Big Bang. Big Bang is all the jivas coming out. Big Bang is all the karmas wanting to get manifested and get resolved. So this is the new creation now that comes. Then the jivas take on the particular body, name, form, even species, we don't know. So the sukshmas, the karana's sharira, the causal body creates the subtle body. Subtle body enters the physical body, and there you are. You have an instrument now for all your karmic account to get exhausted. You have instrument for doing good karmas. You have instrument for experiencing pleasant results, the mind experiences. You have all the equipment necessary to work out the karmic account. So anyway, this is by the side, but here Vidyaranya points out that in all the states, consciousness is there. Now we enter into the deep sleep state. In the text, please, not in class. Supto tittasya saushupta.
Supto tittasya saushupta.
Tamo bodho bhavet smritihi.
Tamo bodho bhavet smritihi.
Sacha buddha vishayaha.
Sacha buddha vishayaha.
Babuddham tattadātamaha.
Babuddham tattadātamaha.
Avabuddham tadātamaha.
Avabuddham tadātamaha.
So that avagraha, in Devanagari, it is avabuddham. Okay, I don't know what is written in English. It is avabuddham. Avabuddham tadātamaha. Okay, and we've got through this. Meaning is more important. Let's have a look at the meaning. Okay, so I'm going to give you now the running meaning, the flowing meaning of the English I've got for the verses. I think that will help you to see what the Sanskrit is. So he says here, on waking, the cognition of the darkness of deep sleep. Sau shupta tamo bodha. So the cognition of the darkness in deep sleep appears as a memory, bhavet smritihi. And such memory has its object something which is something previously known. Sa chava buddha vishayaha. Some object previously known, and therefore that darkness was indeed recognized by you. Avabuddham tat tada tamaha. So let's have a look at this verse a bit deeply, what he's saying. So we have to see what he's trying to establish. There is consciousness also in sleep. Some people think, when I go to sleep, I lose consciousness. Some people think I become inert. I lose consciousness in sleep. So to avoid that feeling that there is no consciousness in sleep, he wants us to see that there is something witnessing the deep sleep state. We saw in the first two states, the waking state and the dream state, the experience of both cannot take place without consciousness. So in waking state, consciousness illumining the thoughts of the objects, and in dream state, consciousness illumining the dream objects and dream world. Then where is the object in deep sleep? This is the question. There are no objects in deep sleep because mind is also dormant. There is nothing to illumine. That is what some people say. But after waking, we have an experience in sleep. And that's what he says here. Supto tittasya saushupta smritihi. There is a recollection of deep sleep by the one who was present in the deep sleep state. There was someone present in the deep sleep state, and on waking there is a recognition. He says, Tamo bodho bhavet smritihi. It is in the form of ajnana vritti. This there's a thought form. It is a seed thought. That's why you cannot recognize it within deep sleep. consciousness illumines that ajnana vritti, or the thought form of ignorance. So as I said, when you enter a dark room, actually your eyes are open. It is not that you don't see anything, you see the absence of everything. In the same way, in the deep sleep state, there is something witnessing the absence of everything. And that he calls here tamo bodha bhavet smritihi. There is a recognition of ignorance, and that is the ignorance of darkness, ignorance of not knowing. Because if somebody asks you, what did you know in deep sleep, or did you see anything? I didn't know anything. You say, I didn't know anything in deep sleep. When you say, I didn't know anything in deep sleep, what does that mean? You recognized that you did not know. You know your ignorance. So this is what he is saying here. This smriti, there is a memory, a subtle, it is called avidya lesha, subtle thought in deep sleep, which is illumined by consciousness. But because I thought is snoring away, dormant, your I, individuality, is what's snoring away, having a very nice rest, enjoying Anandamaya Kosha, enjoying that Ananda of ignorance. In English we also have ignorance is bliss. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's very true. Ignorance is bliss, but remaining ignorant is not bliss. So here he says that avabuddhaha sa vishayaha. So there was something, avabuddhaha means something experienced before. Any memory we have proves an experience of something previously, right? That's why it's a memory. When we say something's a memory, it means I've had an experience of something before, and that memory is now in the present, and I recall it. That's why it's called memory. Recollection of experience is what is memory. So here he says that avabodha, there's a recognition of the experience of deep sleep state when I wake up. Then who is the one recognizing? Who is that recognizes that experience? And who is the one who went through the experience of deep sleep state? So he says here, avabuddham tat tada tamaha. What was experienced is tamas. So that is deep tamas. Tamas literally means darkness. Tamas means ignorance. So what, even your awareness, as awareness in deep sleep state, but what is experienced is darkness. What is experienced is tamas. So it is just like having your eyes open in a dark room. You're very much there, but there is nothing happening there because everything is dormant. Everything is in unmanifest condition. So the ignorance thought in deep sleep is called ajnana vritti. It is an extremely subtle thought form, sukshma vritti, ajnana vritti, but consciousness is there to light up the ajnana vritti. And what happens when the I thought wakes up in the morning? It recognizes the ajnana vritti. Oh, I did not know anything in deep sleep. It recognizes immediately, I did not know anything in deep sleep. So the I thought is required in waking state for recognition of the previous state to take place. There I cannot recognize. So beautifully he says here, there can be no experience without consciousness. In deep sleep also there is experience, but the experience is of what? Absence of objects. So in the first two states that we go through, in waking states, the experience is presence of objects. In the dream sleep state, it's the presence of dream objects, which are different from the waking objects. But both, he said, have, logically, he established that both are exactly the same. One is a long drawn out dream, one is a shorter version. He says it is stiram, the waking state, astiram, the dream state because it finishes very quickly. And another thing which is common between waking and dream, swakale satyavat bhati. During the time I experience it, it seems real. Even in the dream, while I'm experiencing the dream, is it easy for me to see it is a dream? Sometimes we have dream within a dream, some people have that experience. But when I'm having a dream, it is not easy to see that it's a dream while I'm in the dream. This is also important to understand because it is only when I falsify, when I come out of the dream, I falsify the dream, then I see the dream was as though real. Swakale satyavat bhati. During the time of dreaming, it seemed very, very real. It is the same in the waking state. Swakale satyavat bhati. Every experience I go through in this waking state, it feels very, very real for me. The reality I give is paramarthika satyam. I give the absolute reality to this dream world, to these dream experiences when they are fleeting and they also become memories. This moment will also become a memory in future. Every moment we have experienced in life is become memory. It was swakale satyavat bhati. It was only real during the time it existed. So this is how we see in a dream state, when I take myself to waking state, I can falsify the dream. But in waking state, where do I take myself? As we saw yesterday, there are two ways to wake up to this dream. One is when I leave the physical body, definitely that will be a big wake-up call. I will see, I leave everything behind. There's a story, Alexander the Great, I don't know, because these are all non-verifiable, maybe, but it was said that he asked his followers, when he left his body, to be buried with his arms open wide. And they all asked him, why does he want to be buried this way? He says, I want to show, I was called Alexander the Great, but I'm not taking anything with me when I leave this world. This is exactly the waking up. Maybe he woke up at the end of his life, but when we wake up to this dream, we recognize, what do we take with us? What do we actually... ancient Egyptians used to store all the objects with the mummies, right? Now the mummies have been dug up, those objects are still there. So they also have not gone along with the jiva. Nothing goes along with you except your, I call it the baggage body, karana shariram. You take your baggage body, which is all the karmas in avyakta, unmanifest condition, that goes life after life, it travels with you and comes to new birth. So taking myself, how do I see, this dream? How do I falsify this dream? So that is where it's very important to understand, if I try to find a solution within this long drawn out dream to falsify the dream, then I will be stuck in the dream. I have to take myself to a different state. When I take myself to a different state, I can see this dream as false. And what is that? It is the one, it is not even a state. State is a word that we use, but it is the one truth. If I see from the vision of truth, of oneness, then this Vyavaharika Satyam, this reality becomes seen as false. That is why Vedānta ultimately, we say that Vedānta has the ultimate solution, because if I try and cure or I try and deal with samsara within samsara, it will never give a permanent result. I can get some relative results within samsara and I can find some solutions within, but for permanent freedom to happen, you have to find a solution out of samsara. And the only solution out of samsara is to see that you are never a samsari. You are never touched by samsara in the first place. Samsara is as though reality, but the mind projects an extra value onto objects, people, situations more than they deserve. This is called Shobana Adhyasa in Sanskrit. There's even a word given for it, Shobana Adhyasa. Giving extra value to things, people, situations, external, more than it deserves. Once I see that this is what is happening, I'm making a reality of this world when it is not as real as I take it to be. We're not saying it's false either. So we have to be very careful here how we deal with this. That's why Puja Swamiji never used the word illusion. The world is not an illusion. Everything seems solid. It's not an illusion, but it is a dependent reality. That is the best way to understand it. Everything is dependent on other things. We saw that. So he says here, in all the states of experience, there is one independent consciousness which is not dependent on the states. It is like the thread that connects all the states, and in Mandukya it's called Turiya. And sometimes people translate that as the fourth state. There is no fourth state here because it is the one thing that inheres through all the three. It transcends the three states. At the same time, it inheres through the three states. This is the difficulty in us grasping. It is, at once, it is transcendental. At the same time, it is inherent. Transcendental in the form of, we can take light as an example. Light transcends all the objects, people, functions, activities in the room. Light transcends because different order of reality. Transcends means it doesn't get touched by anything that's happening within light. At the same time, it inheres through every object, every situation, every person, everything in this jagat, right? Beautiful. Consciousness in the same way transcends this universe. At the same time, it inheres through everything. So he wants to point this out. The waker, dreamer, and the one who slept, sleeper, are the one same consciousness. I was the one who in the waking state. I am the one who recognizes the waking state. I am the same one the dreamer who goes into the dream state, and I am the one who goes into deep sleep state and wakes up from it. So he continues now in the 6th verse to explain this more. He says, Sabodho vishayad bhinnaha
Sabodho vishayad bhinnaha
Nabodhat swapna bodhavat
Nabodhat swapna bodhavat.
I think you have to put an A there. So A. Swapna bodhavat
Swapna bodhavat
Evam stanatrayepyeka
Evam stanatrayepyeka
Samvit tattva-dinantare.
Samvit tattva-dinantare.
Do you think we can chant together? Let's see. Sabodho vishayad bhinnaha Nabodhat swapna bodhavat Evam stanatrayepyeka Samvit tattva-dinantare. So the very cognition is distinct only from its objects. Sa bodhaha vishayat binnaha, not from awareness. Just as in dream cognition, swapna bodhavat, in the same way, now he summarizes this inquiry into the three states of experience. In the same way, across all the three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep, awareness, consciousness remains one and the same. Evam stana trayepi sambit eka. Likewise, this remains unchanged from one day to another. Tattva-viveka. So now this is a concluding verse, concluding with the topic of the three avasthas. Avastha is a state, three states of experience. He says the object of consciousness in sleep was what? So everything else we saw has objects of consciousness. In sleep, the object of consciousness was ignorance, of darkness, tamo bodha. So consciousness in sleep is also lighting up the sleep state and distinct from the object it illumines. So you come back to Drishya. Drishya is the seer-seen analysis, written again by Vidyaranya, when he says that the subject is distinct from the object. So this first level of analysis, the separation is done first. Then oneness is brought in after you see that what you really are. But now there's a mix-up, right? You have to see milk from water first. Then when it's mixed up, then you won't have any confusion because it is already separated in your mind. So this is where the separation, aham idam, subject object, drishya. We're going back to that methodology. Here, if something is being observed, vishaya bhinnaha, consciousness, if it is observing ignorance, if it is lighting up ignorance, then what is the rule? Seer and seen always are different from each other. The eyes, on the first level, eyes are the seer of the world, right? If you take the Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik, that's the first verse of Drishya. All the forms and colors of this world are seen, perceived by the eyes. So this is just one sense organ. There are many senses you can take. But the forms, colors, the names and forms, they are different from the eyes. The seer, the eyes of the seer, names and forms are different from the eyes. But the eyes, are they the ultimate seer? The eyes themselves, then Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drika Tad Drishyam Driktu Manasam. The eyes themselves are seen by the mind. The mind recognizes the quality of the eyes, the state of the eyesight. In those days, we used to have, the opticians, they used to keep putting the glasses, those lenses in your eyes. Do you see that letter? Do you see this letter? Now all machines do that. But you were the pramana, means of knowledge, for the optician to prescribe the lens, correct specs for you. Because you knew the state, whether your eyes can see or not, You say, I don't see this letter. I don't see this line. Sometimes we used to make so much effort to see the line. I used to wonder why. Yeah. Why we made so much effort. We want to get good eye specs. And even, doing all this. Yeah, I can see the fourth line, the letter. But I know the state of my eyes. I know the letters. I see. And I can relate my experience to somebody else. It means that I, the seer, am separate from what is seen. And is the mind the ultimate seer? So that verse Drigevan, so Drishyadi Vrittayas Sakshi, Drishyadi Vrittayas Sakshi. There is a witness of the mind also that illumines the thoughts, he says. And that is called the ultimate seer, Sakshi, the eternal witness, Drigeva natu drishyate. Beyond that seer, there is no other seer. So this is the idea he's bringing back here as well. Consciousness is one and the same. In sleep, the only difference is there's no plurality, there is no multiplicity, there is no variety. This multiplicity and variety are only reserved for waking state and dream state. In deep sleep state, there is only one thing that is illumined, which is absence of plurality, absence of variety. So deep sleep state, consciousness illumines absence. Waking and dream, consciousness illumines presence. That is the only difference. But consciousness, he says, eka rupa. It is one and the same through all the states. And eka rupa samvit. And why is this important? Because if one recognizes that this one consciousness is there always, the experiences that the I thought goes through, who goes through the three states then? Does consciousness experience three states? No, because if it is in one, it in and through all the three states, it cannot be the experiencer of the three states. Who experiences the three states? It is the I thought alone. The I thought alone is the one that wakes up. The I thought alone is the one that dreams. The I thought alone is the one that sleeps. So it is the I thought that goes through the states of experience. Consciousness never changes. It is there always. So this is important to understand, because consciousness is called Swayam Prabha. It is self-effulgent. Swayam Prabha, self-revealing. Swayam Prakashaha. It is self-evident. When you say self-evident, what does that mean? We always talk about the self-evidency of consciousness. It means it is always shining. And you do know it is always shining because you are able to tell people, I am, I exist. You know that you exist. You know that you are. Problem is, you don't know in which form you exist. That I am is always shining through the mind. I am, I am, I am. From your childhood that I am thought is there. In youth, I am is there. You witness even the changing states of the body you witness. You witness your childhood, you are there, I am. You witness your youth, I am is there in youth. You witness your adulthood, I am there in adult. You witness your middle age, I am there. You witness your old age. And when you reach a certain age, you're able to recall, in my youth, this happened. In my childhood, this happened. I am lights up the states of the physical body as well. The aging of the physical body within the waking state, the changes it lights up. So not only the changes within states, within the waking state, the different avasthas, the states of the aging of the body, that is also lit up by the I am thought. And that I am, if you look, every object, person, so many things have come and gone in your lives, I'm sure. Has anything been with you from childhood until this moment? If it has, you're very blessed. Generally, we have things which come, go. Some last for longer in our lives, some last for shorter moments, but whole waking state is only meetings and partings. Meetings and partings. That is all our life. Sometimes we don't like the partings, but ultimately there are partings in our lives. So this is how this I am registers the meetings and partings. Throughout the experiences, I am registers the meetings and partings. So what has not left you from the time you recognize you exist to this moment? What has not left you? One thing, I am. Consciousness always shining, always there, seeing the departure and arrivals of many things. Like in the airport. It's very interesting. Now I live in airports. When you see, go to the departure place, everybody is crying, it's tears of sadness in departure lounges, and you see, oh, bye, when will I see you again? And it's very interesting to see. Then when we come in arrivals, there's so much, the opposite, tears of joy, crying, people crying out the fact, oh, you came back, But whole life is like this, like airports, departure, arrival. And I felt like I was Sakshi there. I really felt Sakshi, witnessing departure, arrival. Without Sakshi, departure cannot be registered. Without Sakshi, arrivals cannot be registered. It is consciousness, I am, that registers the changes in your life. That has never left you. That is permanent. That is why it's called Nityam. It is timeless. That one truth, your truth, you in reality is permanent. That is what he wants to establish here. That I is the one who sees the present object, the I witness the past object, the I will witness what comes in future as well. So here he concludes that the three states, as I said, the three states that each human being goes through day by day, he says dinantare. So it is not an experience just for one day. In the dream, we have experience just for one night. Generally, you don't have repeated dreams. Very rarely people have repeated dreams. It's just one night and that's it. Here, waking state uniqueness is what? It is day after day after day I go through these states of experience. I don't even examine what is going through the three states. But what happens is that I remember all the three states. I can recall the three states. So I must be there to experience the three states. This is Saha Bodha Vishaya Binnaha. In the sleep, just to summarize, consciousness is different from ignorance. It illumines the ignorance. Eka Rupa Samvita. And the vritti only arises when the I am recognizes. I was. Because it is smriti, it is memory, that I thought in waking says I was ignorant. I did not remember anything in deep sleep. So this is how I continue through all the three states of experience when everything else keeps changing. So in the next verse, 5 and 6, he has finished with the three states. Now he just again brings in a very beautiful idea of consciousness being there at all times, all places. He says, Ma sabda yuga kalpeshu Gata gamyeshvane kadha No deti nastametyeka Sambit esha swayam prabha Across of the turning of months, years, yugas, kalpas. Yugas and kalpas are time frames in Vedic language. Thousands and thousands of years. There's a very technical number of years for each yuga, kalpa, depending on the yuga as well. But he says, across the turning months, years, yugas, kalpas, through the endless comings and goings, Ma sabda yuga kalpeshu gata gamyeshva anekada, this one awareness, which is self-luminous, eka sambit esha swayam prabha, neither rises nor it sets, no deti nastameti. It's a very famous line Vidyaranya uses also in Tattva-viveka. Masa means month. No deti, you have to split. Na udeti. It does not arise. Conscious does not arise in a point in time because it is satyam, it is timeless. It doesn't rise like the sun. It doesn't come up like the sun. Why? Why doesn't it come up? Because to witness we say sunrise, actually sun's not really rising, but when we say the sun is rising, I am there to establish the rising of the sun. Here, if consciousness was rising, then the question would come, who is there to establish the rising of consciousness? There has to be another consciousness. And that is not the case. It is Swayam Prabha, he says, it is the one that self-luminous, no deti, na udeti, neither does it set. So, I witness the sunset, I am there to establish sun going down, but there is nobody to witness consciousness rising or setting, because it does not rise and set. So this is what he wants to establish here, that there has to be a witness to see consciousness manifesting in time, unmanifesting in time. And there is no manifesting or unmanifesting because nobody to witness consciousness. It is the ultimate observer, ultimate witness. Drigeva natu drishyate. Beyond Sakshi, there is no other consciousness. There aren't many. Otherwise it will go on and on forever. One consciousness witnessing another one witnessing something else. No. Drigeva natu drishyate. The seer of all seers, and he will go on to say, that seer is you. You are the one who is witnessing everything that is happening, including your body, mind, senses. You are witnessing everything happening in the world, in all the states of experience, throughout your life. You are always there. But now the discovery has to be that I was never touched by those experiences. I have to learn to be an observer of experiences without allowing the experiences to enter and disturb that peace, disturb that witness. Witness doesn't get disturbed, but the thoughts cover the clouds, like the clouds cover the sun. The thoughts of disturbance cover the true nature from shining. And I keep trying and removing the clouds, but if I shift my attention to the sun, I can illumine the clouds and still be happy. That's the difference. Whether the clouds come or go, I can still be happy. Right now, I'm trying to foo-foo the clouds. Get away! I want to see the sun. Every time the cloud comes, I want to try and get rid of it. I don't allow the clouds to come and go. It's just like that with the mind. I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of the thoughts. Clouds come, cover my true nature because I love myself. He will go on to say that next few verses talks about love. What I really love is myself. So anything that inhibits the manifestation of my true nature, I want to get rid of. Like the clouds cover the sun, I want to get rid of the clouds without recognizing I am the sun that illumines the clouds. It's like the sun saying, get away, you're not letting me shine. So we'll see more in the afternoon. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om